Good, very good.
Nice. How are you?
Oh, pretty good, pretty good. I just made a lunch, so that's why I needed like those 13 more minutes just to put the oven down.
Understandable.
Okay, okay.
Right.
I just wanna ask, how much time do you have?
Roughly 2 hours, I think.
2 hours. Okay, okay. So you just finished playing Dark Souls 2,
Yes.
and I saw the last episode when you talked about Nashandra and how it feels to fight three bosses in the last area.
Yes.
hmm Well, the thing about Dark Souls 2 is that there are two groups of people. The first one are the people who has this as their first Dark Souls game, and the other ones are people who came from Dark Souls 1. Which
Sure.
mhm. You are part of the second group, is that right?
Yeah, I played Dark Souls 1 before that.
So when Dark Souls 1 kind of finished its lifetime, did you watch the trailers for Dark Souls 2?
Of course.
Mm-hmm. And how would you compare the finished product to that?
I mean, kind of disappointing, to be honest.
Exactly. That's basically what everybody felt like because in the trailers, mainly the lightning were very different, and a lot of Dark Souls 2 was still made with that original light, lighting in mind. That's why in my favorite episode of your playthrough was the red area.
You mean, oh, wait, what was the red area? The Iron Keep?
No. I mean Pharos doors.
Oh,
Yeah, the red
okay.
covenant.
Yeah, sure.
hmm
Okay.
In a lot of the parts of that area, you can see that there are traps specifically made to kind of kill your torch and stuff like that.
Yeah.
hmm So,
So,
hmm
yeah, you would think, like, with that, with the old lighting mechanic, that
hmm
the torch would play a much bigger role.
exactly.
But of course, it's nothing like that. Like,
hmm
they basically killed their lighting system.
Yeah. I heard that it's because of like performance, but I am not like a computer technician, so if you tell me performance, I just imagine, oh, it gets laggy.
I mean, sure,
hmm
I have no idea of that either. So,
hmm
but usually, sorry, I'm a bit distracted right now. I'm playing another game right now.
It's okay. I think I will be farming some souls in Elden Ring.
I'm currently playing Deep Rock. So,
Yeah,
but
that's normal to play a game when you do like a talk show or podcast or whatever this is.
probably.
Yeah. Um,
Um, where were
Continue.
we? Where were we? I, uh, I lost my train of thought there.
We were talking about the lighting.
Lighting, yeah.
hmm The thing is, um,
Performance, right? Yeah.
mhm, mhm,
I have no idea about performance. Like, I play the game, I criticize the game for what it is. So if you tell me it has something to do with with performance, then they already brought out another edition of the game. Like, they had their base game,
mhm,
and then I don't know how much later they brought out like Skull of the First Sin.
mhm.
So
It
why
was
not
like
just
a
improve the lighting in that game?
Scholar of the Sin came like I think it was like a year after the first game, and that's usually like the life that making DLC takes for from software. Like we got our Artorias a year after Dark Souls 1. With Dark Souls 2, it took like a year also. Dark Souls 3, it was like a year, and then like another half year, and now with Elden Ring it's 2 years, but Elden Ring is just massive, so it's kind of game of its own.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
mhm.
they wanted to explore the open world, so sure, it takes longer.
Yeah, of course, because like when the trailer come from Elden Ring and all we got was basically just Limgrave and not even the whole Limgrave, people would be like happy if that was like the whole as game.
Sure.
And only then we discovered, oh, there is so much more. And of course that made people happy because more content. With Dark Souls 2, um, there is like a, how would I say it, a different perspective for somebody who played the previous games before Demon Souls. You said in the comments of your videos that you don't have any experiences with those games. Is that right?
You mean with Demon Souls?
Before Demon Souls.
No, no, no.
Mm-hmm.
Kingsfield and such, no.
Yeah, yeah. It was well, From Software work on like a lot of games that aren't really known as From Software. So like, there was some Ninja Gaiden and you know, stuff like that, where they were basically making the development, not really making the brand. Uh,
Mhm.
that changed with Demon Souls. So before that, there were two main series that From Software did and was like their stuff. That was King's Field, and later on it was Shadow Tower. Dark Souls 2, it's a lot like King's Field. And what does that mean? That means that is much slower game. It's much experimental game, but it isn't really Dark Souls game. Now, if I should like if I should like summarize that going into Dark Souls 2 with the experience of Kingsfield, it's it's the usual fucking junk.
Okay.
What does
What
that
do you mean
mean?
by that?
So if you don't know, in Kingsfield, it's really common and really really easy to softlock yourself. Like in Kingsfield 1, in the first 5 minutes, there are two traps you can just fall into and you cannot get out. You cannot even kill yourself. You just you just reset. And
Oof.
like
Yeah.
finding out how to save in Kingsfield, it's like 3 hours from the start of the game in a hidden wall in PS1 graphics where every wall looks the same.
Oh boy.
That game is like unnecessarily assholeish towards you. In Dark Souls 2, you have this formula put into the Dark Souls world. Now, I am not making excuses for Dark Souls 2, that's just not my point here. But my point is, through Dark Souls 2, people are experiencing Kingsfield in the Dark Souls formula. That means traps that are just unfair to you. That means mechanics that you have no like no chance of knowing before they happen. That means enemies placed in the way that is just fucking bullshit. And also that means having difficulty, meaning there is 7 dudes like ganking you.
I mean, was that confirmed by Miyazaki or someone, or is
It's
that now your idea, basically?
uh, well, it's my idea, but if you look at the context of Dark Souls 2, it makes sense because
I'm not trying to invalidate you, just asking.
mhm, mhm. Um, that if you don't know this, Dark Souls 2 was made not by the main team. that was
Yeah.
working on Bloodborne. It was the B team, and the B team changed like 2 times before the game was finished. So what they did is that they just went back enough so people didn't say, "Oh, it's just Dark Souls or Demon Souls," and they just start using the things and mechanics that there were from the older games. So if you, for example, remember the mines with the spiders,
Yes. Yes.
there is this whole quest about taking a pig all the way to the main church and having it dig up a pickaxe.
It sounds quite useless, right?
Yeah, it's yeah, the pickaxe is just fucking trash. It's not even like a useful weapon, but
I mean, it's
this
a nice Easter egg.
it's
I
an
guess that's a throwback
mhm,
to Kingsfield, right?
yeah, it's not really a throwback because Kingsfield never had pigs. It had these. If I should name like the brand like monster from Kingsfield, it would be a so-called melon head because there is
Okay.
like this common plant enemy that just looks like a walking watermelon.
But I guess you just had to drag that thing through the whole level or
Yeah,
something
yeah,
like
yeah.
that, right?
That
Okay.
stuff in Kingsfield is very common, and it's just how would I say it? It does things that are purposefully taking your time and being painful for the player just to give you something useless as a reward. Like um, in one of the games, I don't know if this is Kingsfield 1 or Kingsfield 2 or the Shadow Towers, but there is this NPC, it's a fat hamster, and what he
Why not,
does
right?
what he does is that he follows you if you are underground, and then he just like forces a conversation upon you and he wants to sell you stuff. And I think you have to buy something or like give him something so he will like leave you. But like this is such a pain in the ass to deal with. But
But it's also kind of funny.
it's also kind of funny. So like let's be honest, Dark Souls 2 has a lot of stuff that is very good. Like the NPCs like Gavlan. Gavlan is a fucking boy. Like you just have to love him. But also there are NPCs that you don't even remember the name of. Like, can you name me the girl that sells you stone and has big titties?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
What,
I cannot
what's her
either.
name?
I cannot either. But I
Uh,
remember that I remember Leathersmith Gilligan because he's just ridiculous.
yeah, I mean, but what I find funny, like they already had like Demon Souls, their success with Demon Souls, their success with well, Demon Souls, not that much, but
Yeah,
Dark
that's
Souls
the
One
thing.
came out.
That's the thing. Demon Souls got only
I
like
mean, it got popular after the Souls series, so
exactly, because the breaking point was Dark Souls 1, and that's because they were advertising it to the West. Before that, only Japan knew about like Demon Souls, and few guys in the Europe, like German spy. But that's because
yeah.
as he described himself, he was a nerd.
I mean, I watched a lot of his episodes, so
I mean, watching your playthrough kinda reminded me of his series Demon Souls in depth, and man, that is just fantastic.
I
Like,
mean, it was definitely a big
mhm,
inspiration for that.
yeah. Like the thing about his playthrough is he really goes into details and stuff that you wouldn't think so. Like for example, when he goes through Boletaria, there is a like a table with food for the soldiers, and he just talks about the dead. Like, who would do that?
Oh, why not, right?
Exactly. So I think like in this context that we establish, like looking at Dark Souls 2, like it was very experimental with mechanics that other games wouldn't use. Like in Dark Souls 3, you wouldn't see like a chest that just creates a red orb and attracts other enemies towards it.
Yeah.
Because that's not like safe thing to do. Safe for Dark Souls 3 was to bring back those mimics with those football kicks.
I mean, it's kind of weird. What I wanted to say earlier is like they have this IP, they have Dark Souls,
Mm-hmm.
they know how the world should feel,
Mm-hmm.
right? But then they throw in these seemingly random as things that are sometimes throwbacks or maybe something entirely new that doesn't really fit into the game, and just they just roll with it.
Mm-hmm.
And that is something that you either have to like or heavily dislike. I feel like there's
Yeah,
no whatever,
that's the thing.
because like from me, I like to look at things from a either level design or world design perspective, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I always talk about. It's like level design is like you want to design something that is interesting to go through,
Mm-hmm.
and then very dumbed down. But then world design is something where you want to immerse the player into the world.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you think about it, like what is this table for? Where is this table standing on? Why is there food on the table? Something like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in Dark Souls 2, it feels like they just abandoned that.
It
They
definitely. Mm-hmm.
they built an empty room, and then they put shit into the room without, seemingly they don't think about that shit. Like, what do I put in this room? Like, why is there a fucking card in a room with small doors? It doesn't fit in there.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it even there? And you had to drag this card up a staircase before that. Like, who does that?
Exactly. Like that is the reason why everybody just remembers Dark Souls because the world just makes sense and it's rich and it fits together. In Dark Souls
Yes.
2, it's more like we have these, let's say, 17 levels, and you just go one by one by one by one, and there is no connection.
And I mean, it shouldn't be that hard to form a connection between these levels. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
sure, what ways to connect level do you have? Like, you have a normal pathway, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like a physical connection. You can use a teleporter. They're using a lot of stupid elevators, for example, like,
Yeah, the
for the
elevator
transition.
from the poison castle to the lava castle. Eh, bro.
Like, it feels like, do you think about your world?
Mm-hmm.
They could have just easily, I say easily, but why not just make a side path in the poison area, not even on the windmill, but to the side, that somehow gets unlocked when you once you kill the poison snake lady, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why why an elevator? It's,
Exactly. Like the best explanation I have seen is that it's basically like a stairs. Like the first stair is the mud tower with the windmill, and like a step above that on a platform there is like the lava place. But again, that's not what the game tells you. That's like a headcanon of the
yeah,
community. Uh, like the thing that is like very bad from my perspective on Dark Souls 2 isn't really like the levels. Of course, like I see like yeah, this was fun, this makes sense, or this is just random. But for me, it's mainly the lore of the game and those places, and seeing how like there is like some attempt of connecting it, but it goes ultimately nowhere. That is what is feeling like a short stick for me personally.
it
Like
basically feels just half-assed. So
exactly.
there was an attempt,
Hmm.
basically.
Yeah, like there was a attempt. Like you were talking about the snake lady, Basically, her story is that she really liked the Iron King, the lava demon, and
Yeah.
because she wanted to be beautiful, she basically experimented and instead of creating like let's say some L'Oreal hair extension, she basically made this poison and it turned her into snake somehow.
I mean, there are probably some real life story aspects, right?
Hmm.
Like myths and such, but
Of course.
influencing that stuff. But nah,
Well, that is basically just the story of the Little Mermaid, like the witch that helps her turning into human. Yeah, that's basically her story. Like she tried to be beautiful, it backfires, and now she looks like a monster. But like, for example, one of the interesting parts for me when Dark Souls 2 was the new game was the bells. There are two bells with those little guys, those midgets.
yeah,
Hmm. And they talk about a great love story with a prince and a princess. And that's it. It's never referred anywhere else. Nobody ever like mentions that there is like a army of these tiny guys just existing, protecting some bells. Like never.
yeah. I mean, I think they're like puppets or something. They kind of look like small puppets.
Yeah, like
But
the one guy you talk to, he tells that they were created, so definitely not
yeah.
people.
But the
But
weird thing is like, where are these bells located? You have one in a prison, on a
mm-hmm,
prison island, basically, and the other one is in the Iron Keep,
mm-hmm,
whatever that thing is supposed to be. Like,
yeah,
I don't even like from the looks of the area, you don't even know what it's supposed to be. Like, what is the Iron Keep? Like,
exactly. Like the Iron
it
Keep
looks like,
has
yeah,
the advantages of the DLC where you kinda explore more of it,
sure,
and that really
but that
helps.
area, area again looks completely different. Like the what is the DLC called?
The Broom Tower.
Uh, Broom, right?
Mm-hmm,
I mean, you have like three towers or four. I think there are four towers, right?
mm-hmm,
Are these three? Like one main tower and then three surrounding it.
yep,
But that looks nothing like the Iron Keep. Like the Iron Keep is an actual keep, like it's a whatever buildings and stuff, and like the Broom Tower is just one big tower
mm-hmm,
next to another big tower.
mm-hmm.
It's kind of, I mean, they're somehow connected, but it's not really clearly how. Like they're not communicating it to me visually
Uh,
how
no,
these areas are connected.
I thought that this was the one example when they actually like communicated it, because the whole thing about this DLC was the Iron King that turned himself into the demon, and
Yeah, no, that is clear. I mean,
mm-hmm,
how these areas coexist. Like, is the Iron Keep the actual Broom Tower?
mm-hmm.
Like, I want to see the transformation, or are these separate areas like next to each other, for example?
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
kind
You
of
mean
unclear.
like the map doesn't like connect?
Yes.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, that is a thing about the DLCs. Like, it's understandable in the first one, the Shulva, because it's just a big cave with like three Zuikurats in it and a dragon.
Yeah.
But when it comes to Aleum Lois and the Broom Tower, you just look around and it's just nothingness, which looks awful in any context.
I mean,
And
also, where are we in time during these DLCs? Are they in the past, or are they playing during the present time?
mhm,
Like Broom Tower kind of feels like it's in the past. Feels like
yes,
it.
because Sir Elone is
Um,
dead.
Shulver just feels like after the fleshy boss monster. What's his name? Like what's the name of the original boss there in the Black Gulch?
The Rotten.
right? After the rotten, there could just be another hole, and then you get to Shulva. I mean, you don't
Mm-hmm.
even need a teleporter for that. That fits kind of.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But then Helium Lois, like you're in the probably worst area before in the entire game, like the shaded woods. Like it's the most bland and boring area,
Mm-hmm.
and then snow.
Yeah, snow and ice out of nowhere.
Now we're not like in the Arctic.
There is
Nothing around you.
there isn't even like a snow area in the original Dark Souls 2.
Fortunately, I don't like snow.
I like snow, but you have to, know how to make it interesting.
Yeah, I I just don't like. You have this white sheet
Mm-hmm.
of ice and snow, and then the brown shit is sticking through like trees, dirt. I don't know. I don't like the looks of it. Just it's just me.
Yeah, I understand. Snow can be very depressing, especially if you are from Eastern Europe, like me.
I mean, it's not even depressing. It just doesn't look good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like for me, it's like when it snows here, it's mostly just maybe you have one day of snow and then it melts and it's like ugly as fuck.
Interesting. You are from Germany?
Germany, yeah,
Uh-huh. Understand. Yeah, it kind of depends on where you live. Like, for example, I am from Czech Republic, which is some people say it's Eastern Europe by the culture. Some people say it's in the literal middle of the Europe. Like, okay, have it your way. But if I live in the capital, we have snow like 1 day a year. But living outside the capital as I do now, the snow is here for like half a year and it gets annoying. I understand you.
yeah.
So the thing is, um, if you look, for example, at the Broom Tower, which I think is the best DLC lore wise, I like the ice one more, but that's for this different reason. The DLC communicates three characters that two of them are connected to the original game very directly. You have the Iron King. You see him that he was turned into a demon and he was killed by the Smelter Demon. And you have a second Smelter Demon that is blue in the DLC for whatever reason. Like one of those bosses always sucks. And
Yeah.
it basically retells you the story. Then you have his wife that basically just like exist in the towers. Okay.
I mean, what aspect of Manus is she? Like, I'm
I
not getting that.
mhm. If I remember correctly, she is supposed to be his anger. Because you have
Huh?
Nashandra, she is the wand. Then you have the Ice Lady, she's supposed to be his fear. You have the the Shulva Queen, she's supposed to be, I think, is his like calmness or something like that. It's connected to the sleeping dragon. And then you have the red one, and she is like connected to his like not really anger like I want to destroy, but like anger of like I have this potential and I want to use it to its maximum power no matter the cost. That's why you have these just heavy industry like
So
golems.
kind of also like power, basically.
Yeah, exactly. It's more like military power because like you see in the enemies like you have these slave skeletons and there are just like barely carrying those exploding barrels, which like yeah, like being a workforce in that place. No, I would rather work for Amazon, bro.
Sure.
Yeah. Um, but on the other hand, you have these massive golems that are just like spilling lava, that are just impossible to kill like normally. So having like this like industrial power without looking at like the safety or the the value of a life, that is like the symbolism of the whole place. It's basically working for Amazon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I feel like it's kind of like the way
Mm-hmm.
they communicate that is kind of wonky. I feel like I mean the Broom Tower probably is the best version of the Manus parts basically,
Mm-hmm.
but I couldn't make out Shulva like,
Mm-hmm.
and I couldn't like what's her name in the Ice DLC in Ilium Lois? What's her name?
Nadalia.
Yeah, like I mean she tells you she's Manus's fear, but
Mm-hmm.
okay, she's secluded in ice. Is that supposed like she's sheltering herself in ice? Is that your communication of she's his fear? Like she's hiding?
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, whatever.
The thing about
It's
her
kinda
is that all the previous daughters of Manus are destructive. They just use the king and use his power to create something that will ultimately curse him or destroy his whole kingdom, like Nashandra
yeah.
did with Vendrick and the war with the giants.
I
This
mean
one,
Nashandra is probably the best the best example for that. Like
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. We
sh-
will get to Nashandra in a while.
yeah.
The Ice Lady, she is the only one who broke it because she fell in love with the Ivory King. And because he was such a giga chad that he literally built a city around the bed of chaos just so he can like stop it and
So
spread.
we are technically above Isolith.
Mm-hmm, exactly. And he just was like, I'm gonna stop you, and if I should burn myself for eternity, I'm gonna do that. And she broke the cycle of like using people and something like that because she just was so like impressed by the Ivory King. So even if you have Manus that is representation of like the primal want and desires of man just like taking with power, you see that it can be broken.
Yeah.
And that's why she is like the most interesting all of the all of the daughters of Manus, which like daughters of Manus is just such a weird concept. Like, how do you take basically a monkey demon and you just
I mean
like
it's how I
mm-hmm,
like think about this like okay, like we have this concept, Manus got beaten, so how do we want to do something with Manus, right?
mm-hmm,
So how do we convey that? Okay, he somehow got split during his defeat, and then like his shattered parts are still doing their things, right?
mm-hmm.
They come back to life
I
and
mean,
do
it
stuff.
kind of makes sense. Like, if you go into Manus's cave and you see those humanities just wandering around and you can fight them,
Yeah,
that's all him.
he's basically the big humanity.
Mm-hmm,
Like, and I guess if you amass too much humanity, you start looking like that. But
mm-hmm,
it's
mm-hmm.
kind of weird how they designed their like
You
his
mean,
parts.
why does he look like a monkey?
I mean, that's true. Yeah, monkey is like go back to monkey, like the
Mm-hmm, exactly.
basically like the meme,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like the primal part.
That's literally
But
it.
then you have, yeah, then you have the queens. Like, bruh, why like that? Why do they nothing? First of all, they don't look alike. They
Mm-hmm,
all look different. Of
Okay.
course, they probably like they have two forms: the human form and the I'm now corpse form. Like
Mm-hmm.
Nishandra looks basically like an HR Giga. Is he called HR Giga? A
HRG.
monster, like Alien
Oh, you mean
from the
the
series.
yeah, you mean the alien from Alien.
Yeah, who's the creator? Like, is he called HR Giga?
You are the only guy who ever said that.
I mean, she looks like one of the. Have you seen her design? Like the face or the weird thingies that got like the hair,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
basically.
It's basically her
It's like an.
dreads.
It's like she looks like a mixture from Alien and Nito for some reason.
Mm-hmm,
Like,
mm-hmm.
why does she has this skirt of corpses?
Uh, yeah, that one didn't really work. Like people were telling, like, oh, she's connected to Nito because he also wears skeletons, and
I mean, that's just a natural connection, right?
mm-hmm,
That's but I mean, I kind of feel like she is the representation of want or greed, basically.
mm-hmm.
Like she wants stuff, and these are basically how I feel it. Like these are all the corpses she or all the people she used to get what she wants. Like she
Mm-hmm.
uses people like a currency, basically. They're doing my
Yeah,
bidding.
it's just to make her
Kind of.
look evil.
I mean, to like a reference to Berserk again, where
Mm-hmm.
what was it like when Griffith saw like this vision where this like fat dude, this fat ugly demon dude,
Mm-hmm.
basically tells him these are the corpses or these are the people that you killed for your cause.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of feels like that.
Yeah, 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 that's why it's her skirt because she
Yeah,
is like
she's
standing
walking.
on them.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but
It's
it's like it's very hard to read. Like you have to know a lot of stuff. Like I mean, of course, Dark Souls is like Berserk reference number one,
exactly.
and they like carry that over in some designs, even in Dark Souls 2. I don't even know if it's intentional or not. It kind of feels unintentional, but who knows?
To be honest,
But
Dark Souls 2 has a lot of Berserk references too, but they are, how will I say it? They are made differently. Like for example,
yeah,
you have the head of Vergal, the red guy, and
yeah,
he's just guts.
yeah, but not really.
Yeah,
Like it's like Guts on Wish. Kind of feels
yeah,
like
it's
it,
guts from Wish.
or Guts at home, basically. Like,
Yeah,
can we buy Guts? We have Guts at home. Guts at home, Vanguard, basically. Like, okay,
yeah. Like the thing that helps Vergal a lot is he looks cool. Like his armor with those with the bear fur, bro. That looks awesome.
but then they have this. Like, I don't know where this is coming from. Maybe it's like was it just me or they had two different character models, right? Like I can't find this video where like I'm always I was always talking about this like they have two character models, an old one or a new one, right? So the new one the player is using, and then the old one like Lucatia and stuff. Like she's moving completely different to the player, even though she's supposed to be a player character, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And like I can't find it anymore. But like at least in the gameplay demo or whatever they showed us with the better lighting in place, like worse textures, but better lighting, they still use the old character model,
Oh
but I
yeah.
can't find it anywhere.
It was probably on Zuli the Witch channel or
Could be.
other guys that are just like decoding the Dark Souls games. Uh, and just finding like the unused content that is uh, pardon me, but a bit of a sideway information. So Do you know about the Chili's dungeons in Bloodborne?
Yeah, I've played Bloodborne
Yeah, yeah,
quite
yeah.
extensively.
So nothing that was unused is unused because you just go into the Chili's dungeons and you will find it there. like the whole,
Just take it. Yeah,
like the whole,
just take it and
like
put it in
boss
the dungeons.
of the moonlight. What is the name? A moonlight spirit or moonlight monster or
Presence.
yeah, moonlight presence in its tentacle form. Yeah, that was just found by people who were just going through the Chalice dungeons one by one,
Yeah,
and they found like 4 unused bosses that are still in the game. Like, if you want to see what is in the games from software, you will find it. They don't hide it. They just like don't use it.
I mean, I just find it strange. I'm not developing games,
Mhm.
but like I wish that like why do they not clean up their games? Like why do they leave this shit in there? Like this junk that nobody uses. I mean, it's fun to find it, but
That's it. It's fine.
like
It's
I mean, it's data on your computer that doesn't need to be there. It kind of feels like it,
that's what
but
German would say.
yes.
Nah, the thing is, it's because a lot of the people are fascinated by unused stuff.
I
So,
mean, it's probably also not like it's not worth their time to take that shit out of there
mm-hmm,
to free some like 1 byte of space, whatever.
mm-hmm. That's one reason. The second reason is because they know that people will go and hunt for it, and it will like prolong the lifespan of the game because you can go and find something in there and make like theories and stuff like that. Like just look at YouTube and go like unused content, Dark Souls 3, and it has like
Yeah.
millions and millions of views. So for that. And the thing about Bandai Namco is that they know their fan base a lot. Like in Elden Ring, you can clearly see that they are playing of what people will just speculate on for hours and hours. And that's the part that are keeping the Dark Souls formula alive for years. Yeah, like even today, it has been 10 years since Dark Souls 2 released, and here you are making a full on playthrough.
I mean, yeah,
You
sure.
wouldn't do it if the game was shit.
I mean, I would do it despite the game being shit. Like, I don't know. I like the game for what it was,
Mm-hmm.
but now I wouldn't do another playthrough. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, what hooks me in these games, like even if they're not good,
mm-hmm.
is the mystery, of course, right?
Exactly.
Like you want to find out stuff,
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily the gameplay. I mean, during the time, I really loved Dark Souls 2's gameplay. It was a big step up from like I've played a lot of PvP,
Mm-hmm.
and I can't stand Dark Souls 1's PvP. I don't like the whole backstab meta.
Yeah,
Like
it's just
that's what
toxic.
it's. I mean, that's what it's about, right? You
Yeah.
backstab, and then you have your text to get out of your backstab, whatever. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. It's not my cup of tea.
Yeah,
Many
Dark
people
Souls 1
like it.
PvP is just backstab hunting, and that's
Yeah,
bullshit. That's why in Dark
just
Souls
don't.
2 they added that ghost ring that just prevents you from being backstabbed.
Yeah, not even that, but they implemented a new mechanic where you had like this pre-animation, and if this pre-animation hits the target, then you get the backstab.
Mm-hmm. That's
Like
why
this,
in
this.
Bloodborne it's so hard to backstab anything.
I mean, Bloodborne, you need to charge your heavy attack. Like,
Exactly. And you have to connect it on the back, and then you have to like rush in and press the button. Like backstabbing in Bloodborne, it's like getting a rare drop.
I mean, but Bloodborne, you can't play Bloodborne for the PvP. I feel like.
Yeah,
Like,
it's weird.
I mean, Bloodborne's PvP, I would say, is like it's very bad.
Yeah.
I didn't enjoy it. Like, first of all, you deal no damage. Otherwise, like,
Hmm.
you deal no damage only, or you start dealing damage if you get the best runes from the jealous dungeons or the best bloodstones. I think they're called, right?
And you have to
Like,
farm for that and bleh.
and that's a penny. Like these 27% extra damage, whatever, with the right curse on them. I don't know. Nah.
The moment that the PvP in Bloodborne stopped for me was when I saw a guy that actually spent like 600 hours farming for poison stones to make his bow actually poison you. And that was the point when
Yeah.
I realized, like, no, nah. But
I
let's.
mean, PvP is not their. It's definitely not their focus.
Mhm,
I appreciate that it's there,
mhm,
but in Dark Souls 2 it was fine.
mhm,
Like they had the slow gameplay. It
mhm,
was still like Dark Souls 1 slow. Like in Bloodborne, they ramped up the speed
mhm,
basically to 100,
mhm.
and like from there on onward, like Dark Souls 3 is fast, Elden Ring is fast.
The thing
Dark Souls,
about Dark Souls 2 combat is that a lot of people say that it feels turn based, especially in the bosses. And I
yeah,
see what they mean. And again, this is the Kingsfield feeling.
but it also is like you could argue that every Dark Souls game is like turn-based because you have to wait for the boss to do its move,
Hmm.
and then you have your small window where you can put in like where you can put in your damage. So,
Hmm.
and then you have to wait again.
Hmm.
I
Like,
mean, sure,
good
it's faster in
example
the
of
other
this
games.
is that when I was playing Elden Ring, I purposefully played like naked with just a dagger plus zero
Yeah.
dagger. And I was fighting the Red Wolf of Radagon, and there was this one attack that he did, and I could hurt him. Otherwise, I would get one shotted. It took me 40 minutes.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah,
I don't have that patience.
exactly.
I'm not doing that.
Exactly. The thing about Dark Souls 2 that I found like very good, and the reason why I like the game, despite everything that people say it's bad about it, and I see the things that are bad about it, are two things. First, it has a lot of stuff that other Dark Souls games would never do, like breakable doors or like the different traps in the chest systems, or like for example, the hole in the sand where you just fall and die, stuff like that,
Yeah.
or like the in the mines where you go on that wooden bridge and around you are just these spikes. You would never see that in other Souls games because they are playing it safe. That's why you have like bazillion poison swamps, but you don't have like, let's say, area that focuses on like natural traps that involve the madness fire.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like they did a lot of experimenting in that game,
exactly.
and it kind of feels like it paid off. Like it paves the way for the upcoming games.
Mm-hmm.
Like they've already experimented with it. They maybe have an idea on how to implement it. Maybe they don't.
Mm-hmm. Like,
Like,
one thing that I found very strange is that when you go through the doors of Pharos, there is one dwarf with two axes and he throws them.
yeah,
He is the only enemy that does that in the whole game.
I kind of know why. Like, I mean, I can see why that is because it's just not working.
In Dark
Like the
Souls,
technology is not there.
in Dark Souls 3, there is No enemy that would do that. The closest thing to that is the javelin weapon you get at the end of the Painted World DLC.
Yeah.
Never
I mean,
before have they were like, yeah, we're gonna do that.
but again, the javelin is like it's just another projectile, right? Because you pull
Exactly.
another javelin out of your arse. But imagine you could retrieve them.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine you had to throw it and then you're barehanded and you pick it up again. That would be
Mm-hmm.
nice. But then again,
Exactly.
what happens if you throw it off a cliff? Your weapon is gone.
Yep. That's the mechanics
They're
that
not doing that.
that is the mechanic that Kingsfield would use, but Dark Souls would never use it. Like in Kingsfield, basically you have spells, but there are single uses. To use a spell, you have to burn a crystal. Now you can find these crystals like occasionally, and later on you can learn the spells, but you still need those crystals like as a battery. You don't really have mana for like the stronger spells. So in Dark Souls 2 you see that spells have like, oh, you can cast this spell like 6 times or like 3 times, you know. It's basically like having a magical scrolls. In Dark Souls 3 you just have a mana bar.
Yeah.
Which,
And
let's be
I
honest,
mean,
having a mana bar is much better. Like, so much better.
I mean, I've already recorded yesterday the first episode of Dark Souls 3, and I was talking about that. I'm like, and I already want to redo that video because I'm like, I'm very critical of my videos where it's like, okay, it took too long to say this, to say that. I was just, the pacing is off, but I can't help myself.
I
Like,
understand you, like, I was making few videos too, and yeah, being self-critical is something that will never leave you, no matter how good you are.
yeah, I
Um,
mean, and like the introduction is sloppy because I need to introduce like the format again because I can't expect that everyone watches like Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 1, whatever. But at what point do I stop with that? Like, nah. But yeah, I was talking there about that mechanic, and it's like like I like FP, but I also don't like FP. Like I really like the charge system because
mhm,
like in Dark Souls 3 onwards, you have to decide like you have your weapon arts or ashes of war
mhm,
that require FP, and you also have spells that require FP.
mhm,
So, and I kind of like these systems for some reason separate, right? But also, what was the trade-off for using a weapon art in Dark Souls 2 or Dark Souls 1? Because there were already weapon arts in the game, just few of them.
mhm.
So what did they use? They used durability, the probably worst mechanic in the entire game.
Yep.
So,
The
and
thing
I'm kind of
about
happy they got rid of that.
mhm, the most annoying part about Dark Souls 2 is the durability, and it's just
Like,
implemented so badly. Like,
I mean,
uh,
I don't even know what they were going with. Like, oh, the weapons are so fragile, the player has to swap between multiple weapons of them. But then there are not that many upgrade materials. So, I mean, there are a lot of upgrade materials now, but like when you're doing your first playthrough, you really have to decide which weapon to upgrade, and you can't experiment because, like,
and guess what?
how
Guess
how
where
do you
did that came
experiment with?
from? From from
Yeah,
Kingsfield, where you have to constantly switch up your weapons because they break so fast.
I
And
mean, this is an aspect why I don't like Breath of the Wild.
mhm,
Like, it's just like, okay, this weapon is broken, take the next one. Okay, this weapon is take the next.
mhm, mhm.
Nah, if I find a playstyle that I like, then I want to keep playing with that playstyle or with that weapon. Like, I don't want to switch it up for another B weapon. Okay, now I have this one. Great.
Mm-hmm. Mhm. Now,
It's yeah,
what do you think
but
about the main story of Dark Souls 2?
mm, kind of weak,
Kinda weak.
kind of good, and kind of weak and kind of good.
Hmm. So, the
It's
whole.
it's more personalized basically. Like in Dark Souls 1, you're basically exploring the story.
Hmm.
It feels like, and in Dark Souls 2, you are like part of the story. I mean, you're still part of the story in Dark Souls 1, but it's better conveyed in Dark Souls 2. I feel like it's more of a personal story, especially with the introductory cutscene that you have.
Hmm.
Like it's more personalized
Yeah,
because that's supposed to be your character, right?
that
It
first
loses everything.
cutscene makes no sense,
Nah,
like whatsoever. Like, where are? What is this like lake you go to and you fall into it? Like, what? And then you see
it
like
kind of.
in the reflections like this big city that is now ruins. Like, what?
I mean, it kind of feels like this is how you get to Drang Lake. Like Drang Lake exists in this in between worlds kind of thing. It feels like it. Like it's
The
not a physical. Like it feels like it's not a physical place, and you're
um
like let's say let's say Drang Lake is like I don't know in Spain or something,
mhm,
right? Spain is Drang Lake, and then from the USA, you're all of the sudden cursed by this curse of death, and you're jumping into one of these portal thingies,
mhm,
like in the introductory cutscene, and then you're all of the sudden in Spain. Kind of
mhm,
feels like that.
mhm, mhm. Now this cutscene makes sense with like the original idea for Dark Souls 2 story, which is about time travel. Basically, it works like in the original like idea, you were supposed to meet Shanalot and in different points of time. That's why she is at random places, just like standing there. Like, how does
Yeah.
she get there? Well, she is there like 7 years ago, you know. And in the
I
original,
mean, I think this is why the voice kind of changed in the dragon area,
mm-hmm,
right?
mm-hmm.
It's higher pitched, and I think she might be smaller, or maybe it's
No, that's
just
just
where she
perspective.
stands.
The
Yeah.
thing is, there is like a model for Chanelot, and she's like a little girl. And
Ah,
in the
okay.
original meaning, you were supposed to like lose your family, go to this place that is known for like time traveling, and you should meet like Vendrick, and from there you realize that oh, this place is actually like broken and destroyed because Nashandra destroyed everything. You would go to these different places using two items. First would be this like a pendulum that would just like do the like on
Yeah.
those old clocks, and the second one would be like a dragon's diamond or something like that. And using these two items, you would be able to like go to one area and then to the other area, and stuff like that. That's why you have the first cutscene. That is the only thing that remains from this idea, and meeting Chanelot on different places. Her kit model isn't used, but when you meet her at the place where those dragons are, uh, she would be supposed to be like telling you like, yeah, it was actually me who you met in the past, and she would give you that feather, and you would somehow be the one who gave her that feather like 10 years ago. Yeah.
Oof.
But the like my the thing that I kind of wanted to tell is that I like the story, that it's basically a kingdom that was destroyed by the war with giants. I don't know about you, but I love giants.
It's like okay, we have giant dudes. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like I kind of like the design of the giants in Dark Souls 2, with the
Mm-hmm.
hole in their face.
Yeah,
Feels
it's
kind of
definitely
mysterious, but
something else.
it's also but the story is so like I hate time travel stories.
Yeah, I do.
I think I've talked about that extensively in the memories episode.
Mm-hmm.
I had to re-record that one because the first recording was like I was like I made myself angry, and I was like very angry in that video all the time.
Like I think that with the memories, they actually pull out the time travel stuff very good, except for the part that you meet Ben Hart in the memories. Like, what is he doing there?
I mean, Ben Hart is strange that you find the first giant or the last giant again. Like the king is basically the last giant, I guess.
Mm-hmm. That's him.
Like he recognizes you. It's in the first encounter, and
Mm-hmm.
it makes no sense. Like sorry, but time travel makes no sense. Like you were there in the past, and you've killed. You were actually the one who killed the king, and now he's this dude impaled on like natural rock formations, and he wakes up again somehow, and he finds you, and like that's why he's so angry. Whatever. Like okay, dude, but
How
what are
are
we
you
doing?
alive when I killed you in the past?
Yeah, I mean, first of all that, and second of all, like I just don't like paradoxes.
Mm-hmm.
Is that even the plural of that? Probably, right?
Yeah.
Paradox and then paradoxes. Yeah, it's like okay, but it makes no sense. This is what bothers me. I don't like when things don't add up,
Mm-hmm.
and time travel never adds up. Like there's always something
Doesn't make sense.
that bugs me. Like okay, but yeah, what? It's so poorly implemented. And then what's up with the sympathy or no, giant's kinship? I think that's what it's called. The key item
Mm-hmm.
there that you need so that these stupid ass golems form that bridge for you.
Oh yeah, that
Like
part.
Bru, just take a letter, Gilligan.
Yeah, I remember you get really angry in the video about that.
Yeah, but uh, what even is that plot? Like I can just skip the dragon area. I just need Gilligan. He gives me one of his like
Stupid letters.
uh, where even are the letters coming from? Like the first time he builds a ladder in the windmill, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, in the cutscene, he takes the ladder from 1 meter away and puts it like in front of you. Okay, the ladder was already there. Why couldn't I just take it?
Why can't I just kill him and take the letter? It's pretty
Yeah, or
big.
where does he store his ladder? Nah, okay. I mean inventory. Yeah, we have like every single weapon that we find up our asses or something. I don't know
Yeah, that also
wherever
makes
we
sense.
store it.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean that's some realism that you have to sacrifice in order to
Yeah,
make a game playable.
exactly. It's like you cannot make it 100% realistic. Otherwise, you would
And I don't
die of just like
like.
not drinking enough water.
I mean, otherwise you could just play real life.
Yeah,
Why even play a game then?
yeah. That's the reason why I don't understand why people play like like farming simulator, bro. Just go outside.
I mean, sure, I don't have a farm myself, so
Mm-hmm.
maybe I want to experience that farm life. I mean, there's definitely a demographic for that. I'm not one of them, but
Yeah.
sure, if you want to do that, do it. I mean, I like to play games like Diablo, for example, as well. So I like
Mm-hmm.
grinding. It's kind of fun to an extent, but I don't know. Not like simulator grinding, whatever.
Yeah, like work simulator, bro. I'm going to work already.
Yeah, just apply for a farm job.
Yeah.
Like ask your local farmer if you can work there.
Like what I don't understand is like girls who play Animal Crossing. Like your gameplay is just like cleaning your room. Just do that in real life.
Yeah, I kind of get the appeal sometimes, like, but it's not for myself. But I can
Exactly.
definitely see why that's something you
Hmm.
would desire. But I
Now.
mean, like in a game, it's everything. Everything is easier, right? You do it the way that it's actually fun for you,
Hmm.
and
Well,
it
you
might not
don't
be
get
fun for you in
tired
real
by
life.
playing games.
I mean, technically you should, but yeah,
Yeah.
I have definitely more energy for playing video games than for actually doing important stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Now, the thing is, as we talk about, like Dark Souls experimented a lot. It created like a different magic system with those slots instead of having mana. It created like different traps, which I said that are definitely the catch point for me. And they also tried like different lore that goes, you know, against the Dark Souls 1. It has still a lot of references to it, but
Yeah,
it's kind of having like its own stories. The bad thing is that those stories aren't really connected to each other. Like you will never see King Vendrick talking about the demon of the song. Like
yeah.
never.
It's like a bunch of short stories put into one book
Exactly.
that that are still in the same world but have nothing to do with each other.
Hmm.
Like
Like
it,
for example.
it's nice, but it's also a bit hard to go through sometimes. Like,
Hmm.
oh, another story here, but then
So.
only like snippets. Like it's never a fully finished story or a satisfying conclusion to a story. It's like,
Hmm.
yeah, we had this idea, but then we had this other idea,
Like,
right?
and then you have like something that just have like no lore, like the skeleton lords on those like bone chairs.
Yeah, they just exist.
Yeah, they
What's
just
the lore behind it? Yeah,
exist. They
that's
just
it.
there.
That's the story.
Yeah. Like you can see some parts of it trying to get connected, like Aldia was basically just them trying to patch it all up together, because this was like the main problem. Like people were just complaining endlessly, like, oh my god, Dark Souls 1, it's all connected, it's so good because you can go from area 1 to area 2. You have Nito connected to the demon ruins if you just walk there. In Dark Souls 2, it makes no sense. You go through a tunnel and then it's from like evening towards a storm. Like, how does that work? Blah blah blah. You know. So they tried to correct it with Aldia just spawning randomly and like telling you like, why are you doing this? Why do you want to link the fire? Or do you want to just leave and see what happens? I don't know, it's your decisions, like blah blah blah. And then he is the final boss.
Yeah, but like, it's like, okay, yeah, next boss fight. I just killed Nashandra. What was like whatever. Like she's a fairly easy boss, but
Yeah, Nashadra is like
like
very easy. Plus, if you
like
do
she's
the.
on Gwyn level basically. Like
I mean,
she's even easier than Gwyn. I feel like.
the thing is, if you don't parry Gwyn, he's actually pretty difficult. But you
Yeah,
can just like parry spam him and beat him in like 20 seconds.
yeah, that's like the problem in Dark Souls One. You can almost parry everything that is somewhat difficult,
Hmm.
or just like you just bypass so many mechanics.
Hmm. The thing is, Gwyn was never supposed to be weak. Nashandra,
She also doesn't seem to be supposed to be like
she isn't supposed to be like weak, just like decisive. And like her whole mechanic was like she can curse you in the fight. Like she spawns those three like dark water orbs or whatever they are, and if you get close to them, you get cursed. If she hits
Yeah,
you with her laser, you get cursed. If she hits you with her body explosion, you get cursed. So she
yeah.
has like the.
She's basically she has the mechanic where she reduces your maximum HP,
Mhm. And because
so
of
she can
that,
one shot you then.
and because of that, like her melee skills is pretty ass. But like, if you do the DLCs, you can get the Hollow Mask, and you cannot get cursed. So she has
Yeah, I
nothing.
mean, but to be honest, like her everything is very easy to avoid.
Mhm.
Like even without the crowns,
Mhm.
or I mean, they already have two items without the crowns that prevent curse.
Mhm.
Like they have this witch's veil or whatever it's called that has like 1,000 curse resistance, and in the broom tower they implemented the stupid hollow head whatever
Yeah, the Hollow
that
Mask.
also that also has like 1,000 curse resistance, which is immunity. So why even bother with the crowns? Like what? Why
You
even
see,
is this
the
veil in the
Hollow
game?
Mask
Like,
is the real crown.
yeah, I mean the crowns look better, so at least three of them. I don't like the shoulder crown that much.
But that's the most realistic one.
Yeah, but I don't like the colors. And the broom tower one is a bit too big. Like I like the standard crown,
Yeah.
and I guess the tiara from like the Ice DLC is also fine. It doesn't matter, but like, okay, you have this mechanic very late into the game, so you can make Nashandra even easier.
Yeah.
Or what's the point? There's no point to it. It's like, okay, you have this. You've basically defeated this curse.
Mhm.
Congratulations, but not really, because it's still affecting other people.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I alone am cancer free. Well, the cancer is still killing a lot of people. I don't care.
Just make more crowns.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just buy Broom Tower and create more crowns, I guess.
Yeah. Uh,
Then I need to bless them with. I don't even know with the other crowns. I don't know how that works. Like just
basically, it's like you get so many souls from those three crowns that you are basically like above infinity, so the curse like cannot touch you.
I
Like,
mean, I
yeah.
guess we have to get into like how curse works, what it affects. Like, is
Well,
it affecting the humanity or is it affecting the
uh,
soul or both?
exactly, because like if you use those hexes, those dark spells, it costs you souls to cast those spells,
Yeah,
and that is
which would be
basically
fine.
which
I,
is
I,
basically how the like curse works. It just takes the souls from you until you became hollow,
yeah.
and
So,
there is.
but it's kind of I kind of wish they would like steal souls like from your soul count
Mhm.
when you're getting cursed as well. That would be kind of nice. Not in Dark Souls 2 because we have this awful soul memory thing, but
Mhm.
like in every other game, sure, why not?
Like in Dark Souls 1, when you get hit by the Dark Hand, it steals your humanity.
Yeah,
So, like
yep.
that.
But there again, like it's like in Dark Souls 1, it's a humanity. In Dark Souls 2, it power like it uses souls for the hexes, so there's some kind of difference there.
So, the other thing that I wanted to talk about, except for the main story, which we said, like, yeah, it's okay, but like, it's disconnected, and that's why it makes like, that's why it's bad.
I mean, yeah, they had a completely different story planned
Mm-hmm,
apparently
mm-hmm.
with time travel, and they just.
Didn't do that.
I mean, they still had the memory shit in there, so I guess this is part of it.
I
But
think the
like,
memories are made pretty like decently. Like I like the idea that you just go through the areas and you see these weird trees and the soldiers are still like fighting them, like what is happening here? And then you are able to go inside of the memories and see like what it
Yeah,
used to be.
I kind of just wish you couldn't do anything in these memories other than just watching, because then it wouldn't be as paradoxically. I feel like, if that even is a word,
Hmm.
because like changing things in the past is weird, right? It's not working. It's paradox. Hello,
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
but just viewing the past is like being told a story, just more visually, which again I like. I like that part.
I see.
This
I
is
see.
why I like. I feel like the talk that you have with Vendrick is fine. Like you're basically just going into his mind, and you're like you can think of it like that,
So what?
or the thing where you have a look at the ancient dragon
Hmm.
in like the spider boss room. Uh,
I think I
that's
have
kind of
like
fun to
a
do.
perfect example of what are you trying to say. So in Harry Potter 2, Harry has the notebook of Tom Riddle, and he sees him
Yeah,
like
exactly.
talking on the stairs with Dumbledore,
Yeah,
you
that is
know,
fine. You're just basically
and you are,
reading someone's memories.
and Harry is just watching. But then in Harry Potter 3, you have the whole pendant thing where, you know, Harry is saving himself from those
Yeah, and
memory
that's
sucking
just
ghosts, and it makes no sense.
yeah. And again, I like things that make sense or that
Hmm.
at least
Hmm.
feel cohesive, and
Yeah, yeah,
that's just not working there.
exactly, exactly. So the thing is, what do you think about the dark in Dark Souls 2?
It's confusing. That's what it is. Like, is it
Confusing.
supposed to be the abyss, or is it something entirely different? Right? Because we had the concept of the abyss
Mm-hmm.
in like Dark Souls 1,
Mm-hmm.
and did they want to expand on that, or is it just something entirely different, or is it like a mix of both? Is it like the old familiar with just a few more things sprinkled in? Because the dark like has something to do with hexes,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like you have this hexer dude like staring into a wall. I don't know what he's trying to do. Then you have this dark diver grandpa in the wheelchair
Mm-hmm.
who wants you to explore a cave. It feels like he wants you to explore a cave. Like if they I would be more pleased with it if they would expand on that more,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm I'm trying to go through there without any knowledge. Like I'm not reading stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like of course I know some kind of lore of the games. Like I've watched Vatividia, I've watched lore videos because I'm interested in it.
Mm-hmm.
But when I'm doing these videos, I'm trying to view it from someone. I'm not succeeding in that, but I'm trying to view it from someone's perspective who just plays through the game without reading the item descriptions.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not really conveyed that well what the dark is supposed to be. Like,
That's the dark in Dark Souls 2 is more comparable to the deep in Dark Souls 3.
yeah, it's already like, what is the deep in Dark Souls 3, right? Like,
It's well,
it's also some kind of hex.
no. In Dark Souls 3, the deep water future is basically being like uh, it is humans, and it's basically like the deep desires inside of humans just being let free. Like Aldrich, he was just like a cannibal, so he let that desire to eat the humans free, and he ended up as a blob that just eats gods because, like, what is more?
So it's
Uh,
basically emotions,
it's
basically. Like,
basically just letting your
yeah,
desires go forward. In
okay.
Dark Souls 2, this is basically just letting the darkness in humanity just being consuming and going to like take over other stuff. Like in Dark Souls 2, I don't know if you realize it from like pure gameplay mechanics, but a lot of bosses use dark spells and they have like no connections there. Like Artorias 2 is using darkness instead of lightning. Like why? Why is the Rotten having like dark attacks? You know? And because there is a lot of focus on the darkness, it's basically like it's this ever present thing that is going through the time, that is changing towards something new. And this darkness is just replacing stuff, changing things, going through like everyone. That's why every like NPC or the Hollow has like that weird scar that is going like through your heart. And
Yeah, the dark sign. Yeah.
the dark sign. And that is basically like we are at the point of time where like changing, just linking the fire. Like, why are we doing that? The whole idea of Aldea was like, okay, you are here to link the fire. Why? Because somebody tell you, uh, okay, that guy is dead. You are prolonging Gwyn's will. That guy has been dead for like thousands of years. Like, what will happen if you let the darkness just come out? And
Yeah, it's just like
it's like in Dark Souls
it's this
3.
question, basically the question of life,
Mm-hmm,
almost. Like why are we even doing this? Someone did it, this happened, but the fire is bound to fade again, so do we prolong the cycle, or why not just find out what happens if you not do that?
mm-hmm. And in Dark Souls 3, you see the same idea just explained better with Londor, the City of Hollows.
Yeah.
Their whole thing is like, hey, we let the fire die and we just live in the darkness that like remains. But then you have the princes, which are like, okay, we let the fire die, we have this darkness, but from the darkness there is a light that is born, and that's the angels you see in Dark Souls 3. And the whole like pilgrim stuff that are turning into the pilgrim butterflies later on there were changed to the pilgrim angels because they just found that like nobody connects those butterflies with like what is going to with those like lightning spells, light spells and stuff like that.
It's going to be, man, Dark Souls 3 is going to be a nightmare.
Dark Souls 3 has
Like
so
it's
many.
going to be so much work, I feel like,
The whole
because
point.
there's so much stuff you can
The
interpret
whole
into
point
that.
of Dark Souls 3 is like, fuck this linking of fire thing. Like, we don't want that. We just want to see something different.
I mean, how many endings do we have in Dark Souls
I
3?
think there are
Let's
like 4 or 5.
like first of all, like you have linking of fire, like the basic bitch
Mhm.
ending no one wants
And
to do
from that
anymore.
cutscene, you just see that it's useless. Like, you are barely just like on fire yourself. In Dark Souls 1 is this just giant explosion. In Dark Souls 3 you
Like
are just like barely just linking the fire and it does nothing. And you just put like 6 bazillion souls in it. Even Gwyn himself is like just like reanimated in the last boss, and even his soul is doing nothing.
it's like I'm right now looking at the wiki how many endings there are. We have
Mm-hmm.
like the linking of the first flame, sure, standard ending. Then the end of fire. What is that?
That's the one when you step on the fire
Give them
maiden's face and just steal the fire. What do you do with it? I have no idea.
no. That's the unkindled ending, like the variation number two. I mean, you can.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I think you can also tell her like Just tend to the flame. I'm just not ready to burn myself yet.
Yeah, so you just like let the ward like go into the like self-eating phase, and then or like steal the
And I
flame, which like what the fuck do you do with it?
and then you have the weird usurpation of fire, where it's like the Londor ending.
Yeah, that just
It's
means like
kind
you
of
will live
strange.
in the darkness with these hollows
I
and
mean,
just become hollows.
I don't really. Maybe it will be clear with the next playthrough of Dark Souls 3. Maybe I discover there's something that I've forgotten or that I just haven't discovered yet or whatever. But I don't get the whole ceremony thing with the Londor stuff.
Mm, eh,
It's kind of.
it's weird. Uh, but basically, the Hollow Londor stuff is just the second ending of Dark Souls 2, but made more basically like emphasized with like trying to explain more what they are trying to do here, because in Dark
Yeah, but
Souls 2 you have
aren't you like collapsing with the flame? Like you're touching the fire and then you're collapsing instead
uh,
of burning yourself.
yeah, basically the Londor ending is like when you fight Gale and you just see this desert with ruins in it.
Yeah.
That's just the world that the Londor wants to live in. So you have this desert, you have some ruins, and then you have like a million hollows just like standing there. That's what they want.
I mean, at some point, like it also like you have also like this idea like the hollows are like they're immortal basically,
Mm-hmm.
right? They're not really dying. They're just they can't die
Mm-hmm.
technically. I don't even know what happens if you kill them. Like if you smash their brain, do they
They
respawn
will,
or do they
they
stay
will
dead or
just be
whatever?
like reformed after a
Okay, at
while.
some point they reform at that point, but
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's like this. They wait for something new
That
because at
is
some
the
point,
that is a bit different because that's the idea of the angel. That from this endless darkness there will come a light, and
I
that's
mean,
like
it's bound to happen. Like it happens or it happened once, right? Like, uh,
it's a thing that is present. Because the whole point of the twin princes in Dark Souls 3 is that like we have been visited by this lady, and she told us don't link the fire, it's going nowhere, it will just like go forever and it will just get weaker and weaker, you are just like avoiding the problem, so let's just keep it happened, and from this darkness a new thing will be born, and that is these angels, and you have the presence of them being uh, all those pilgrims that are just going there, and they will like first off they will die like the ward, and then from their corpse that will be the butterfly, and from that butterfly, and that butterfly was supposed to be the thing, but because the butterflies looked just weird and the only thing where you can see them is with the Dragon Slayer armor, where they are carrying the Dragon Slayer armor, putting basically energy inside of it, animating it, and then they die when the armor dies.
yeah,
Because the image of the butterfly is like, what is this? What am I looking at? Is this like Bloodborne unused enemy number 70, or like what is this? They changed the design to those angels, and you see angel, you immediately think, oh my god, it's a holy light, and then you go in the DLC and you see these angels like proper angels, you kill it, it appears again, because you cannot kill something holy, so you search and you see that there is like this larva going from the corpse of those pilgrims. So the idea of these princes is like, we will let the fire die, there will be darkness, we wait a bit, and these angels will give us like new world. Londor is like the darkness without the angels, without the light. And Dark Souls 2 is
But I
basically
mean, like,
saying this darkness isn't just like a huge desert with nothing in it. This darkness is what people will just change into and will live like basically humans, but just change into this new form. The evolution doesn't stop with the darkness, it just takes over it. That's why, again, you see Artorias just changed from lightning to darkness. You see mages just using darkness more often than just using like lightning or fire or just basic magic. That's why you have the whole hexes, which are like intelligence plus fate, which is just like combining miracles and magic into this new thing. And the whole idea of Dark Souls 2 is just like this darkness is evolving us into something new. But because a lot of people just didn't get the idea, they added Aldia, and his whole point is like telling you this flame stuff, stop that, it leads us nowhere, we are just repeating this cycle, which you have the Witch of Isolate reincarnated into the Lost Sinner. Again, it's a witch, she tried to do the fire again, it failed again. You have the Rotten, which is basically just Nito, but those skeletons have still flesh on them. You have the fire demon in the lava lake, which is basically just Gwyn, a king with his ambitions that just led him to build more and bigger, and it ended with his desires through the smelter demon killing him. You know, it's just repeating and repeating and repeating. And where does that lead to? Nowhere. So Aldea is there like telling you, hey, let the darkness win and see when it will evolve us. Because the evolution just doesn't stop. Like, have you seen the idea of timeline? Like,
what?
so let me explain this concept. In Europe, if we say time, we imagine like a straight line. It has start and it just goes on. In
Yeah.
Asia, it's more like a spiral. It just goes and goes and goes and goes in the spiral. Same things are happening again and again, but it still like progresses each round it takes.
Like, it's still something new, but it's similar.
It's still like same things happens, but they are just a bit different, so the progress is still happening.
I mean,
So
this is basically the concept of Dark Souls.
yeah, yeah, that's
Basically.
it. You are still in like the linking of fire. Only you are not wearing chainmail armor. You are wearing plate armor. So
Yeah.
in the next 100, in the next cycle, you will not be, World War I soldier. You will be World War II soldier. But the same things will happen. You know.
But what is kind of interesting to me,
Mhm,
right? Let's go back to Dark Souls 3, to the ending of Dark Souls 3,
mhm,
how it all looks like. Like, the worlds are collapsing on itself, turning to ash,
mhm.
right? Like,
Yeah.
it's all burned, basically.
Mhm,
It's burned up, like the fire is fading.
mhm,
But what's kind of interesting is, like, in Dark Souls 1, we've seen how a world like that could have looked like with Ash Lake, which kind of feels like this, right? It turns back into Ash Lake, and at some point, a
mhm.
new fire will appear. And this is what
What
basically
would
makes the
appear?
whole story pointless. Uh, a new fire
Mhm,
at some point, like it happened before. Like, during like the what are the times called? Like the time before fire, like
The
the
time of
times.
Endless, where stone dragons and
Yeah,
lakes exists.
and this will probably happen again if you let the fire die. Something similar to that, basically. It doesn't matter if you're doing the Londor ending,
Mm-hmm.
but this time they're just hollows
Mm-hmm.
instead of dragons, I guess. But at
The
some point,
thing is,
there will be something
mm-hmm,
like a new flame. Maybe not necessarily a flame, maybe something different, but
yeah, the light.
it will repeat itself.
Mm-hmm. And that's what the
Some,
that's the whole idea of the angels. Like this time, it will not be a flame; it will be just light. So the primitive flame, which is light, heat, the distraction powers, you know, it evolves into something more refined, which is just a light, which is the heat, the light itself, and also like the destructive power through a laser, you know.
yeah, I
But
mean, light is basically, you could think of light as a more,
evolved.
as a different form of fire, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fire is very, like, in comparison, fire emits much more heat than it emits light,
Yep.
and that light emits more light than it emits heat.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, like it's a trade-off,
Yeah.
but it's basically the same thing.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But in this context, it means like evolution.
It's again the spiral thing, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's something
Don't
similar.
forget, it was made in Japan.
Yeah,
So the thing is like basically from Dark Souls 2, the game is kind of pushing you towards like don't link the fire. It makes no sense going forward. But in Dark Souls 2, there are only like two endings. Like either you do it, good, you just reset the world, and like in 100 years you have Dark Souls 3 with the same problem. Or you can just follow Aldia, let the darkness wins, and there are basically like three endings if we use the Dark Souls 3 like system. First one, you get the Londor ending, which is just like it's just dark desert with hollows, and basically you have Ash Lake without the lake and the trees,
yeah.
and instead of dragons you have these immortal hollows just like existing.
But also, what I'm thinking about, like,
Mm-hmm.
maybe it's just we still have Ash Lake,
Mm-hmm.
but this time, or we have the Ash part
Mm-hmm.
on top of Ash Lake because they have the, like, it's Norse mythology, I guess, part of Norse mythology with the world tree
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
carrying all these different worlds. And like we have Ash Lake on the lowest level,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe not even on the lowest level, but on a lower level.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have this new Ash wasteland on the level above Ash Lake,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe at some point there will be another layer of Ash, something like that. Like again, the spiral part,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
same thing, just slightly different.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, like as I said, like if you follow Aldea, it basically is you get the Londor ending, which is just like the darkness with the hollows, and basically it's the same as Ash Lake, but it's just like desert in the dark with hollows. Then, let's say after 1000 years, a new flame is born. This time is, let's say, a light, or like the moonlight, or like, I don't know, just like light but it's fire but it's purple. Something new will happen, and from that there is like a new age. Now this is basically as we talked about the ending of Londor and the ending of Two Princes with those angels. Between this, there is also the Aldrich ending, which is like the Age of Deep Waters, when everything is just The Age of Deep Waters is basically like the part when you're going through the world collapsing. It's just going together. It's just crashing. Nothing will be born. You're just waiting for it to end. And in this time, you in Dark Souls 3 see those mercmen that are just spawning with those sickles and those mages with those really long staff. And they
Yeah,
have like those humanity spells. In this part, you see just people trying to use everything they can to for those last days. And for those last days, everything is like free. You can cannibalize people, you can steal because like who's gonna stop you? Like there is no tomorrow. And like that is basically between those two stages, like when everything is ending and you are free to basically go zombie apocalypse and just do whatever you want.
it feels kind of like go back to monkey ending, like
Basically.
where it's regressing everything.
Yeah,
Like
it's
we
just
build this,
regression. Like
like we build we yeah
are you familiar with the concept of kegare?
no, at least not under that name.
Okay, it's a thing from, I think it's from Buddhism or Hinduism or Shinto, or it's basically like if you let yourself go, you will connect the darkness inside of you, and the darkness it's like heavy stone that is formed inside of your soul, and it will weight you down, making you more and more into just like something disgusting. There are stuff.
Basically making you okay. It's like regression.
Yeah, imagine like
It,
this: if you eat McDonald's every day because you just want to, you will end up being fat and ill.
sure.
Yeah, so that concept.
Yeah,
But it's more like spiritual. Like if you will go and you will like work with blood, guess what?
yeah.
You will end up being like completely emotionless and just killing like it's cutting butter, you know.
It's like a laying off everything that makes one human,
Mm-hmm. It's just like
and
regressing into being a tool.
or into being an animal, basically.
Yeah, basically. And that's why it connects to like the belief of like uh, of the reincarnation, where you have like 8 words, and if you behave you will go like up a level. If you behave like a stupid guy you will go down a level. And basically this kegare is like the black card that will send you back. And the Aldrich ending is like, hey, why not just do that? Why not just eat until we became blobs? Why not just, kill each other until you kill everybody you could ever, like, don't like? Why don't you just steal until there is nothing else to steal? And you have just this darkness inside of you. I think it's described as the deepest part of the soul that is just weighing under the murky waters. So he is basically like just this. Just do whatever you want, be as disgusting as you can, like nothing matters, and just let yourself go to do whatever. Enjoy it while it lasts. There is no much time left.
It kind of feels like Manus again,
Manus
like going
was
back.
Manus was more like these guys are torturing me so much that I completely forgot like who I am, and all I have now is just like this sense of revenge, and I will do it as brutally as I can, which is just like regressing to be this monkey demon.
If you see it like that, sure.
Yeah,
Then there
because
are differences. Yeah,
like what is your idea of Manos?
monkey.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's basically what I said. Like, just like they have been torturing him and extracting humanity from him so much that there is nothing left. So
yeah.
what?
But how do you visualize that? how did they visualize that without telling you in the item descriptions and stuff? Like
Exactly.
where do you get that idea from? Because that's not what I read from the visuals. To me, it just like if you just look at the visuals,
Mm-hmm.
just look at the game how it is. Like we have two opposites. Like we have the light souls and we have the dark soul.
Mm-hmm.
Dark souls like Manus, of course, like
Mm-hmm.
the human part basically,
Mm-hmm.
because well, like the dark soul is, I guess, humanity apparently. At
Yeah,
least it feels like
basically.
it. This is how humanity exists. Like
Mm-hmm.
through him, humans exist,
Mm-hmm.
and
It's technically
appa-
the pygmies, not the humans, but you know.
but it's the same thing. Like they use human and pygmy
Yeah, yeah.
interchangeably. Like you're using humanity in Dark Souls One
Exactly.
to make yourself look like a human and
Mm-hmm.
not like a hollow. So, and then we have the gods, who are basically, I guess, the beings that were created by the light souls,
Mm-hmm.
like the great light souls, and the humans or the pygmies who were created by the dark soul. And it feels like we have two opposites, right? They want the ones like the light ones want to have the light basically,
Mm-hmm.
like they want to have the age of fire,
Mm-hmm.
and then the humans, what they should want, it feels like, is the age of dark.
Yep.
They don't want the fire to fade, and it just feels like, okay, one faction thrives, like the light one, because
Mm-hmm.
they are technically stronger,
Mm-hmm.
like they have more souls, it feels like.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter if these souls are stronger or weaker, but it's like, how many are there? Like three versus one,
Yep.
and like it just is a war in like between these two factions.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it feels like. Just that Manus is like this primal being,
Mm-hmm.
this monkey that is just a beast. Like there's no. It's kind of weird that we use the word human. Like there's no humanity left in him. It feels
Yeah,
like
that's exactly. He has no humanity left. He is hollow, just on maximum level. The
but he
next.
should have
Mhm.
enormous humanity. Like
Well, all his humanity is in that cave, just like walking around.
part of it. Like he's still strong. He still emits with his spells and stuff so
So,
much humanity.
yeah, 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 but that's him letting his humanity out. So, you remember in the Dark Souls 1 DLC, you have those enemies with those weird, like many eyes, heads, and those long ass monkey hands.
Yeah,
That
like basically the transformed towns
that
people.
is regressing beyond the hollow. This is the next step of hollowification. Like hollows, they still can like eat the humanity and put themselves together. You know, there
It
are
kind of
just
feels like
like
the opposite. To me, it feels like they got too much humanity.
hollows.
No, not hollows. The township people. That
Mm,
what it feels like. If you get too much humanity, you transform. You turn to this maniac thing
mm-hmm.
with many eyes. That what it feels like to me.
Uh huh. Uh-huh.
Because these all these humanities are roaming around. What happens if they kind of possess you? That what it
Well,
feels like.
I feel it's the exact opposite because the whole story of Ulosil is that they found the the pygmy that got the fire.
Yeah,
Now they were just like experimenting on him, torturing him, and they learned that if you hurt him, he will use his humanity as a weapon. So they then copied it and learned that hey, if I use this spell and let my humanity outside, I can use this powerful magic. But the cost of it is turning myself into this monkey monster. Because what is humans without humanity? Well, monkeys. You are regressing yourself to something devolved. And that's why you see those mages in Ulasil just shooting humanity at you. That isn't just like magic in the air, that is their humanity being projected.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
But what kind of got to me, like, it's like
mm-hmm,
the Dark Soul basically uses humanity as a currency, so to speak.
mm-hmm. And in Dark Souls
And
2, you see the
wait,
same. Mm-hmm,
and then we have the light part
mm-hmm,
that uses the normal souls, which is kind of similar to humanity, or kind of feels like similar to humanity,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
if you get what I mean.
Yeah, yeah, I get what you mean. Like, humanity and souls are different, but one part is
But
using that, one part is using that. In Dark Souls 2, this concept is present in like you are feeding the darkness your souls. That's why casting those spells is costing you the souls, because
it's kind of interesting that it's only the miracle part of it,
mm-hmm,
because the stuff that uses intelligence, or more like the staff
mm-hmm,
basically being a spell and the other one being a miracle,
mm-hmm,
like the spells are safer, so to speak. They're
mm-hmm.
not as dangerous.
Yeah, yeah. Also, the part that Sif created all the spells, uh, that kind of don't apply in the later games. Like imagine if
Where's
all
that coming from?
yeah, like
When
imagine if all the blue spells were just like, oh, it's from this dragon that like died like 10,000 years
uh,
ago in Dark Souls 1. Yeah.
nah, I mean, he probably invented the crystal magic.
Yeah, that is literally like his breath weapon, just turned into
Like,
like different shape, like a ball or a laser or something like that. In Dark Souls 1 is literally like all the magic comes from Sif, just like turning his breath into different like projectiles, and people are just like copying it, learning it, not really being able to copy the crystal part, but still the blue part. You know, Sif is responsible for all mages in Dark Souls 1.
sure, yeah,
Yeah.
kind of makes sense.
Mm-hmm. That's why when the big head Logan goes insane, his staff turns crystallized, his spells turn crystallized, but also he goes insane.
I mean, they really like that trope of people going insane.
Yeah.
It's so weird. Why is there no good ending?
Yeah. Like, is there any character in the whole Souls games that has a good ending?
Does Elden Ring count?
Yep.
Then there are probably a few.
Yeah, in Elden Ring,
Uh,
some people get good endings.
what NPCs do we have in Dark Souls? Let's start with Dark Souls 1. Let me get a list of all the NPCs.
The only
Is there
one that is
any?
able to get a good ending is Patches.
I mean,
This,
sure, yeah, he lives.
yeah,
He lives until Elden Ring happens, right?
yeah, that bald cunt is the only one who gets a good ending.
I mean, he's smart. So Griggs probably dies from Dark Souls 1. Then we have the blacksmith. The magic blacksmith is still imprisoned. Logan becomes a hollow. Laurentius becomes a hollow.
Mm-hmm.
Quilana probably dies at some point.
Yeah,
Like, maybe not. The
nah,
egg
she's
dude.
definitely dead. Like, she's only alive because her sister just feeds her humanities. What do you,
Not Quil.
what do you do when you
Who's
have
that?
no
Who's.
humanities? She just dies and melts.
Why is she also called Quilana?
What?
The fuck? I mean, the witch that is in front of Quelaag's domain, that one that
Oh, yeah,
sells you
yeah, yeah, that
pyromancies.
one. Uh,
I
Yeah,
mean,
like she would
Facts
just
for Life is a bad wiki, I don't know, but
yeah,
for
she
some
would
reason they
just
call
like
it
continue living.
a technically good ending. I mean, she lost her family. Um, then Eggy, Egg Dude has eggs, not a good life. Petrus dead, Rhea dead. Yeah, no, she can survive, right? Or is she always dying to Petrus?
Petrus?
I
What
mean,
is Pet?
Petrus,
Uh,
the bowl cut dude, the one that nopes
yeah,
out
that
of the
one.
catacombs.
Yeah, fuck him.
I mean, he is supposed to kill Rhea at some point,
I
right?
mean, if you leave him be, he just like
Yeah, he
leads
kills her.
Rhea and those two guys into the Nito cave and just leaves them there to die. And probably just returns to the church and say, "Oh, great tragedy! They died, but I was trying to do my best, but I am the only
I,
survival."
I mean, I
Uh,
guess Dusk survives. She has a good ending, technically.
well,
Like
I don't.
Princess Peach.
I mean, Dusk is weird. Like she basically exists only as a summon, and the summons kind of go like into the past when you write that summon sign, no matter if you are dead or not. But it kind of implies
Yeah,
that
I
she
mean, in
just
the
dies by age, which okay if hollows are able to do that.
I mean, you can call that a good ending.
I mean, yeah,
So
like
this one
she
becomes
only
hollow,
lost
dead,
all of her
dead.
kingdom.
I mean, oh, Andre has a good story, right?
Andre, yeah, 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 he's a good boy.
Yeah, he's still alive in Dark Souls 3. Amazing. He skipped Dark Souls 2 and he's still alive in Dark Souls 3.
Well, I think
Basically, the
it's
good
more like
ending.
he was revived.
Sure.
Because,
I mean,
the whole concept of Dark Souls 3 is like we are summoning the good guys back.
Dark Souls 3 feels more like, yeah, let's just take this blacksmith that everyone likes and
Mm-hmm,
put him into the game. I mean, and
mm-hmm,
I've talked about that in the episode that comes out tomorrow,
mm-hmm,
um, where it's like you have Andre of Astora
mm-hmm,
from Dark Souls 1. Then you have the Shrine Handmaiden, who is the Firekeeper from Dark Souls 2,
mm-hmm.
just demoted so that she is a merchant, no longer Firekeeper. No, she lost her job. Now she has to sell stuff. And then you have the Firekeeper from Dark Souls 3, which is from Dark Souls 3. So you have every Souls game connected in one area,
Yeah,
slightly.
and it kind of makes sense because, like, why are you here? Well, you are a guy who was trying to link the fire, but you died, so you
Yeah, you
became
failed.
ash. So we just
Yeah, you
revive you
failed, and
again.
it's kind of funny. Like, no Lord arose this time. Oh shit! So we got no Lord. So let's ask the previous lords if they lend their souls. Then they wake the previous souls lords,
Mm-hmm.
and tell them, "Hey, go set yourself on fire." And they're like, "Nah,
No.
I'm out of here." So they take the previous ones, like the ones that failed.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, can you bring them back, please?
Yeah,
Please do
exactly.
it.
It's like we are literally their plan C.
Yeah, but who are they? Like, who is deciding that? Who is ringing that bell?
The royal family.
How do they get to Firelink Shrine?
Uh,
I
that's
found another
that's
bad
the thing.
thing about.
It's basically the twin princes. They don't care.
Yeah, I
Their
know, but no,
their
I mean
father.
physically. I
Yeah,
mean
yeah.
physically. How do they get to that bell? Because there's no path leading there. I mean, we have in the King's Garden,
Mm-hmm,
right after Osiris,
mm-hmm,
there's this dragon whatever thingy,
mm-hmm.
and then we have this cave where you have to drop
I'm sorry.
down to get into. You have this cave thingy, like the small cave thingy, cave hole,
Yeah.
where you have to drop down. Oh,
Čau, no jak je, no hledám práci, no. Ale já jsem jako docela v hospodář, že jsem jako udělal kus práce, protože já jsem jako nechtěl jako zrovna příště a jsem takhle to oslovil tentokrát víc rozumí lidi mezi dvěma hraje. Protože jako největší jako game, smysl to perspektivy dávalo jako v tomhle tom píšení, že jsem se jako učil, tak jako mě nechat jako jinak máme, já můžu se poprosit, jestli bych si zavolal kurzu, já teďka mám jako video, takže jo, dobře, hele, tak děkuju, čau. I am sorry, that was my mom.
no problem.
Yeah.
Where was I? No, like we have two Firelink shrines, right? In Dark Souls 3, technically. Again, like we have the one where we awake from, and then we have the one that you get to after, like Osiris. But who rang that bell first of all? Like, who went down into the king's garden, into that secret dragon area? Who's the queen? Is it the? It's not the old one, like the old grandma sitting there.
No. The queen, she is like indirectly said that she is responsible for all of this because, you know, imagine this: you are a queen. You have your royal duty of like continuing the fire. Your husband, he becomes a dragon and doing fuck all. Your sons, they went into the war with the demons and they don't care. They want to see the age of angels. Yeah. They want to see something new. So it's up to you to, you know, do the plan C because plan B didn't work. And you can find the only thing that basically talks about her when you go into the Firelink in the dark, which is supposedly the real one, and you found her corpse and her not finger, but her ring. The game effect is that basically the blue S2s gives you more stuff, it's like more powerful, but in the description it says like, yeah, this is the grave of the queen, and like just from like the evidence you see around, like she is the only one who could make all of this happen.
Okay, I'm going to look forward to that. I guess I have to start reading item descriptions now.
I mean, it helps a lot.
Yeah, but it's such a... I don't know, it's a very easy and convenient way to tell your lore.
Well, it isn't described directly like, hey, she did it. It just says like, I mean, hey, this is the corpse of the queen, and like she cares about like the ward or something like that.
No, but I mean, like, where does our character get that information from? Like, there is not just you get an item and sticking on that item is a note telling you stuff. Like, okay, that's not like... that's kind of immersion breaking in a bit, right? In a way.
Well,
right. It would be nice if there is a way to tell you that kind of lore, and I guess it's extra. It's like extra lore that you're not supposed to know. Like, I mean, that our player character's not supposed to know.
This autistic way of telling you stuff through the item descriptions, it just exists because people like it.
Yeah, but I mean, you have to think like you have to create one story that you can tell without item descriptions, and then in the items, in the best case scenario, you put additional stuff, right? Not mandatory stuff.
Yeah.
That would be my idea. Like, here you get like your dessert to your
Mm-hmm.
meal whatsoever. I don't know, but
Yeah, like doing it purely by just environmental storytelling would be the best.
it would be extremely hard. Like,
Yeah.
how do you put that many things in there and not extend the like? I mean, of course, you can create an NPC that lore dumps, like
Mm-hmm.
that vomits out the lore, but that's not fun.
Yeah, but like you cannot really say like, "Hey, this is the corpse of the queen, and she is responsible for this," by just walking on a carpet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Anyways,
I'm
we have been talking
yeah,
for 2 hours. Do you still have time?
probably like 15 minutes or so.
Okay. Well, I will have to excuse myself because I have to go.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But anyways, I would like to thank you for giving me this time, and I will probably upload this on YouTube if I can upload something that is 2 hours long, if you don't mind.
I I don't mind. Why shouldn't you be able to?
Or we can
It's
just do.
definitely possible.
Mhm. Or we can just do it like you can take this footage and you can upload it if you want to.
I haven't recorded that. I'm fine with that. I mean, like, I like talking about stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure no one wants to hear that.
Ah.
Like, unscripted. I mean, there are few people that want to hear that, but I don't know. Like, it's
Just
so
put,
unorganized.
bro,
I mean,
just put boobs onto thumbnails and you will have like 10,000 views.
nah. I like my thumbnails are only like I've studied communication design,
Mm-hmm.
and my main priority was like photography.
Mm-hmm.
So what I like to do is like use the game and make screenshots like I would do photography basically. And these are my screenshots. These are my thumbnails basically.
Okay, okay,
This is what I do.
okay.
But no
That's pretty
schedule.
good. Okay, so I will have to go. So thank you for your time and
Yeah,
see you again
no
when we
problem.
have something to talk about.
Sure.
Okay, bye
Bye.
bye.